Hello, this is Ashee from Crafting with Ashee and welcome to this video. Thank you for joining me today. This is the little box we're making today. It's this cute little box. This one's in pale papaya and you can see it has a little flap opening with a magnetic closure, and there's your little box, and it closes over, and then you've got the little belly band on the top. So we're going to be making a different colorway today. This was pale papaya and Night of Navy pattern paper. Today we're going to be using Night of Navy cardstock, and you can see here I have a piece already in my Stamparatus, and we're just going to quickly do some scoring here. So we're going to be using the thick end of our scoring tool, and you can see here I've got my template, and we're going to be scoring, just showing you here. You've got the thick end and then you've got the little thin end, and we need to be using the thin end for cardstock. So we're going to score here at 2 inches, and then we're going to move across and score at 3.5 inches, move across and score at 5.5, and then whoopsie daisy at 7 inches. Okay, and then we're going to turn our cardstock onto its other side here, and we're going to score at 1.5 inches all the way down, and then we're going to score at 4.5 inches all the way down, and that is our scoring done. So now we are just going to fold on all of our score lines and give them a really good burnish. So let's get our bone folder. Bone folder is an invaluable tool in your craft room. I say this time and time again, but it really is. When people ask me what do they need to have in the basics kit, I always say a bone folder. It is just so useful for making your cards, for making boxes, mini albums, scrapbook pages, everything. So now you can see here we've folded on all our score lines and given them a good burnish. That means, crisped up the fold. Now you can see here I'm measuring my template against what we just scored. And you can see here at the bottom, these two little boxes are not on our template. That means we're going to cut them off here. So you can see on this side at the moment, everything is symmetrical, but we're going to cut off, and you can see here I'm showing you how it folds around, but you're going to cut off these two little boxes. So cut off one, up the score line to the first score line, continue and cut that off, and then there we go, and then up the score line and cut that off there, just like that. And then we're going to go along here, and we're just going to cut along the score line up to the score line, just like that. And then for these little smaller flaps here, which are the moment flaps 1 and 3 from the right hand side, we're just going to give them a little mitre cut, as you can see here, just a tiny trim. It's just a small amount that you're cutting out at an angle, and you're going to do that for both sides of your flap. So there we go, we're going to do it again, and then we're just going to cut our flap, just cut a tiny amount off the flap, just eyeball it, and this just helps the back fold together more easily. So now we're going to carry on and do the same again for this little flap. So just a little hair off, little mitre cut, and another one on the left hand side, and then we're going to cut again on, oopsie daisy, on the opposite side. We're going to do exactly the same. So you'll just see me cutting along the score line up to the score line. Now there is one set of flaps I'm going to cut off again. At this point I wasn't sure whether I wanted to cut them off or not, but I decided later on that actually I had no need for them, and it's actually this little flap that I'm fiddling about with here at the moment. You'll see in a minute. And and then give that a little miter cut as well. Okay, so now we're going to get rid of all this detritus, all our scraps that we've put together, and we're going to bring in our template in a second, and we're going to check to see, hopefully the two should fairly well match. So let's just check here. Actually, first we're going to check how everything is going to fold in together. So you can see here, I'm just seeing how it's going to fold in. And then I'm wondering whether I really want these flaps in the way. They're in the way, so I'm going to cut these off. You could have them folding down into the box, but I decided they're in the way, so they're going to get cut off in a second. And here you can see me just faffing with it, trying to make a decision. My initial box did have these flaps cut off, but then I thought to myself, well, let me see what it would be like if I left these flaps in, and actually, no, I'm not happy. They're going to get cut off, and you're going to see me doing that right now. So goodbye flaps. And now our template will look exactly like the box we've just made. So get rid of those two pieces, and here's our template, and these two should match. And they do, so all is good. You can see me just cleaning up where maybe I haven't cut as straight as I should. Okay, so now we are going to start to stick our box together. Normally I put down our designer series paper first, but actually I'm going to stick the box together first because of the magnetic closure. I need to have the box together before I can stick down the rest of the paper. So we're going to put some glue on these two small little tabs that we have left here, these baby ones. You can see me here just putting a little bit of Tombow, which is always useful, gives you a little bit of wriggle room, and bring that flap up to meet its friend there, keeping everything as straight and squared off as you possibly can. And then bring him up to meet his friend, and pinch to hold. And now we're going to put some more Tombow on the outer flaps. So here we go, more Tombow, and these are just going to fold up and around like that. So our sides are actually reinforced because there's 3 layers of cardstock there, so that's nice. And then you can see our top folds over. So now we're going to put some magnets on, and I just use these small little neodyme earth magnets that I either get off the internet. If I can remember, I'll put a link to where I get them if they're still there. I've actually bought these magnets ages ago. I have a whole lot of them just sitting. I have these metal trolleys, and I have the magnets just sitting on the side of the metal trolley. So, you know, trolley does double duty, holding all my other craft stuff as well as storing my magnets. And you can see I'm just sticking this down with some tear and tape. Now I'm taking my next magnet, and I'm just making sure that it's in the right orientation. You can see here, I'm just making sure they're sticking one down and then seeing that's right. Yep, just like that. Stop it sticking to my fingers if possible, folding the back box over and then giving it a really good press. Sometimes you need to really give it a press, but it worked the first time here. So now we can put our designer series paper down, and I used the lovely linen designer series paper, and all the measurements for both the box and for the designer series paper all on the blog post on my website, and the link to that is in the description box below. You'll find it there. So now I'm just going to start to stick down all my pretty paper, and isn't it pretty? I love the sweet sorbet against the colour of the Night of Navy. They really make each other pop. So there goes down our first piece, and then I'm going to proceed just to stick all the rest down, as you can see I've done here. So now we're going to make our belly band, and I'm just using a scrap piece of Night of Navy cardstock, and I'm going to measure this to about 1 inch in width. Doesn't matter about the length because I don't want any scoring, because we're going to fold it around our box. But sometimes your box, depending on how you've cut and scored it, everybody's box will be measuring slightly different. So this I find is the best way to make sure my belly band will fit my box. So as you can see, I just fold it around and pinch at the corners where it goes round. So you can see here, just trying to keep it straight. And then I can see I've got just too long, so I'm just going to chop off what's left over with my scissors. There you go. Goodbye. Okay. So now I'm going to bring in my bone folder. See again, bone folder is useful. And we're just going to reinforce those pinched lines. So just going to burnish on those pinched lines, making sure we keep everything straight and squared off. And just going to do that for all of the pinched lines. So there we go. Just trying to keep everything straight so there's no wonky, nothing worse than a wonky belly band. There's enough other wonkiness, so we don't need this wonkiness too. Okay, so now you can see our belly band is going to fit. So we're going to bring back my box and we're going to fit this around the box, and then we're going to stick it down with some Tombow. So there we go, bring it round, stick it down with some Tombow, and I'm going to put a little bit of Tombow, here we go, on the corner ends of each piece, and then line them up and hold them in position, and there is our belly band. So now we're going to do some stamping, and we're going to be using the Lovely Linen limited edition stamp set, and we're going to be using this stamp in the far left corner, and you can see me just putting the light off to try and make things a bit better for you. Well, it says Stampin' Up at the bottom of our image, and we actually don't want that to stamp out, so I'm just going to use a little bit of post-it note tape here to mask off the word Stampin' Up. You can see here, and then I'm going to ink up our image, just the circle image, remove our mask, and this should mean that we just stamp the circle without the Stampin' Up. There we go. Look at that. Isn't that great? Now I'm going to cut out this using some punches. I love my circle punches. I'm very sad that we have so few punches available to us. Please, Stampin' Up, bring back punches. They are so useful and so easy to use. You don't need any other external equipment. Just punch and off you go. But what can you do? You can use your circular dies if you've got any. You can also use your stylish shape dies as well. The layering circle dies are also retiring, unfortunately, but there is other circles that you could use. And then I'm going to be using here, I think this is my 2-inch punch, and I'm going to punch out a piece here of Sweet Sorbet cardstock. So both images and punched. Now I'm going to stick down our stamped image to my Sweet Sorbet so it's matted up really nicely, and that's going to go over our belly band just to hide the join. So I'm going to put a bit of glue, but I'm going to put it on the belly band, so this ensures the glue only goes on the belly band and doesn't go anywhere else and make lifting the belly band off our box difficult. So there we are. Lovely. Now you can add some decoration to your belly band if you want. I think I've added some milky dots on either side just for some decoration in the finished article. But there's our little box. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd be grateful if you could give it a thumbs up so YouTube know. And please don't forget to subscribe to future videos. If you want any more information about the project, measurements, supply list, etc., it's all on the blog post on my website. And the links to that and all my social media links are in the description box below. So you can see me here just faffing over what embellishment to use. And in the end I give up and go to these milky dots and use 2 of those. And you can see on the original I used the Night of Navy milky dots, but here I'm using these lighter coloured ones, and I'm just putting one on either side of my box. So there you go, all finished. So that's the one box, and there you go, that's the other box there. So thank you, and until next time, enjoy being creative. Bye.